Pattaya City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
All right, so Barry, keeping mobile, you're going to get them up to do some exercises later on? A demonstration. Well, a very highly regarded speaker who has given a few really, really good talks at the club on an incredibly important topic, mobility and keeping mobile. Come on up, Barry. Yeah, a round of applause.
Movement. It's not an option, it's a necessity. In today's presentation, I will explain a health problem that's going to affect all of us sooner or later. Then you will be given a practical demonstration on exercises which science has indicated beneficial in offsetting various health problems. But please bear in mind, there's no one size fits all. Everyone in this room today will suffer a debilitating complaint. A complaint that leads to metabolic disorders, atrophy of muscle, fractures, loss of strength, pain, and loss of mobility. More than 50 million adults, older adults worldwide are affected by it. Every year, over 300,000 seniors are hospitalized as a result of it. So what is this complaint? What is the cause of it? And can it be cured? Well, the complaint is known as sarcopenia. It's a result of aging, and it may be accelerated by lifestyle. There is no cure, but the debilitating effects can be slowed down and increase the quality of your life in your senior years. Sarcopenia is the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength, and exacerbated by lack of exercise and a deficiency of protein. So put it simply, sarcopenia is physical degradation of your muscles due to a lack of exercise. Typically starts about 40 years old. Now, according to Johns Hopkins University, which is leaders in preventive medicine, seniors face a staggering muscle loss and over 320% increased risk of developing mobility disabilities, potentially leading to reliance on wheelchairs and nursing homes. So how bad can this be? Well, a friend of mine, you all know, spent 42 days in hospital, about 23 hours a day, and on discharge, he could not walk. Because extended bed rest causes rapid physical decondition, significantly reducing the ability to walk, causing muscle loss up to 10 to 20% per week. Amazing. Particularly in the legs and impairing postural control, it leads to severe balance issues, cardiovascular decondition, and joint stiffness, making it difficult to stand or walk due to weakness and dizziness, as well as loss of bone density. How bad can it be? NASA astronaut Sunita Williams, she aged 30 years or more during a 9-month trip in a weightless environment. Before and after. That's what lack of exercise will do to you. I'm standing here. Am I exercising? You think I'm not, but I am. My muscles are continually working to keep me upright. In space, that doesn't happen. She atrophied, which led to loss of muscle and bone density. The heart muscles got weaker, and on her return to Earth, she could not walk, and it is doubt if she will ever fully recover. For a senior, it means loss of independence, trouble getting in and out of bed, and getting on and off a toilet. So what should a 60-year-old be able to do then? Walk the dog, go for a jog, climb the stairs, carry you shopping, carry your grandkids on your shoulder, bend and touch your toes, stand on one leg, put your shoes and socks on without falling over. If you cannot do any of these, then you're sarcopenic. These are images of a healthy thigh and of a sarcopenic thigh. I don't need to say much more. In your muscles, there's two types of fibers. There's type 1, which is slow twitch, type 2, which are fast twitch, type 2 are the strength muscles. If you're sarcopenic, you will have oxidative stress, inflammation, loss of the fibers, imbalance in protein. You'll have mitochondrial dysfunction. Mitochondria are organelles within your cells which generate your energy. You'll have motor neuron loss, meaning the brain cannot communicate with a particular muscle. Satellite cell dysfunction, microvascular changes, changes in hormones and growth factors, all because of inactivity and disuse. Looking at the grey area up there, these are factors affecting normal sarcopenic decline. Satellite cell dysfunction, mitochondrial dysfunction, anabolic resistance, impaired regenerative capacity, decreased protein synthesis, decreased anabolic hormones, and impaired vascular response. That's a normal sarcopenic decline. If you have a punctuated decline, in addition to that, you'll have insufficient energy, protein malnutrition, illness, hospitalization, habitual personal activity decline. You're sitting in a corner waiting to die. You'll have insulin resistance and increased inflammation. You're going to be in pain. Your VO2 max is also affected. Between the ages of 50 and 70, an athletic type person can expect a decrease of about 16% in his oxygen uptake for exercise. Low personal activity, that just about doubles. Sarcopenia is the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength. What follows next? Your independence. Loss of muscle mass has serious consequences such as weakness, loss of strength, poor posture, inability to support our weight, fractures, heart disease, poor circulation, weakened immune system, cognitive dysfunction, loss of coordination and mobility, impaired tissue repair, and nerve damage. There's no doubt about it, sarcopenia is a very debilitating complaint, but you can't slow it down. Now, traditionally, if we have muscular aches and pains, we take some sort of pill and sit and rest. Wrong thing to do. You need to keep active, because inactivity is not the best way to recover, as it tends to compound the problem. Many of you, no doubt, will massage stretch affected area. This may bring temporary relief, but even though it's a good protocol, it does not strengthen the muscle affected. Prolonged activity can lead to shortening of muscle fibers, adhesion of muscle fibers, connective tissue, and nerve entrapment. Muscle adhesion, also known as fibrous adhesion, occur when collagen fibers stick to the adjacent muscle fibers and connective tissue. It's not just your muscles getting stiff. Now, many areas, I'm going to see that this is working. Many areas such as the shoulder may be uncomfortable and inconvenient, but if it occurs, look at the way your muscle are, your wallet may be located. This is where the weakest muscles in your body are located, namely the gluteus medius and the gluteus minimus and other hip stabilizing muscles. So if you have a weakness there, you're going to become unstable. One of the major muscles affected by sarcopenia is the psoas, as it connects your trunk to your legs. It's a hip flexor and a stabilizer, and it is the muscle you use for walking because it raises your leg. First you lose speed, then strength, then muscle density, and a loss of muscle mass in the fast twitch fibers. You will now shuffle with the short steps and be unsteady. You will be unstable. Now, according to scientific surveys, good muscle density is vital for good health. That's what they keep telling us now. And longevity. Loss of muscle mass is one of the single most predictive factors in mortality risk over 80. In other words, muscle density is a lead indicator of mortality risk. The idea that walking is a control is a common concept in biomechanics. It's where the body's center of mass continually moves forward, and each step will act as a correction. When you walk, if you was to raise your right leg first, in the air, it does nothing until you push off with your left foot. So you're in a controlled fall. Walking is a controlled fall. Walking is technically an act of controlled instability where the body leans forward, then uses the feet to catch the shifting weight. If we shuffle with short steps and be bent over, your center of mass will be outside your base. Coupled with a slow response, you will most certainly fall. Take that gent. If he didn't have the cane, he would fall over. And if you think that a stroller is going to be the answer, that moves your center of gravity further outside on already challenged wrists. Now, there's 3 types of walk: the duck, the normal, and the pigeon. We just talk about the duck walk. If you stand with your feet at 10 to 2 and lift a heavy weight, then your knees tend to collapse inwards. Where are my knees now? They're outside my base. And I'm putting a lot of sideways stress on that knee. You walk with, you stride, and your toes should always point forward. When you're young, about 20 years of age, you'll have 600,000 muscle fibers in your thigh. By the time you're 80, that's reduced by half. So you're always losing a battle. Now, by the age of 70, toe strength decreases by more than 35%, and resultant toe weakness correlates strongly with an increased risk of a fall. About 40% of seniors fall each year, and toe weakness is the single best predictor of a fall. This is quite shocking. Once you pass the age of 65, and if you was to break the neck of the femur, you increase the risk of dying within the next year by over 30%. Does that register? You break your leg, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It takes a lot of healing. So that's energy going where energy is taken from other places to fix that leg. Government stats show that over 30% of people over 65 fall and break the neck of their femur. Those who do not die from the fall because they normally fall on their head, 50% of them will have a reduction of mobility. Meaning, people who walk normally will now walk with a cane, those who walk with a cane will now walk with a frame, and those who walk with a frame are now in a wheelchair. This will be a profound change in the quality of your life. Falls are the #1 cause of injury-related death and hospitalization in our age group. Our age group. I'm 80, by the way. Fractures destroy physical autonomy. At about 60 years of age, you're probably still 100% independent. By 75, that might decrease a little bit. If you break the neck of your femur at that point, then you're down to 20% independence. It's a big deal. So you could conclude that your death is going to start in your legs. Everybody's very quiet. Okay, we've arrived at the single most important habits 8-year-olds with exceptional strength from their peers, and is known as PRT, progressive resistance training. Well, we all know what training is. Resistance is the ability to pull money out of your wallet. You resist that. Progressively means you increase the load. You have to increase the load periodically. PRT, which is the practice that researchers at Tufts University call the most effective anti-aging medicine ever discovered, or put another way, exercise is the most effective anti-aging medicine ever discovered. Now, if you only take one thing home with you today, take this statement at the bottom here. Healthcare practitioners who really care about your health all say the same thing about PRT. Everyone over the age of 40 should exercise for at least 15 minutes a day. Personally, I think it's 40. Here's a fundamental truth that most seniors never seem to grasp. Your muscles operate by the use it or lose it principle. And if that needs an explanation, it means if you don't use that muscle, it will decay. But it has an important caveat: they need to be challenged progressively. You may be shocked at the next slide. Walking, water aerobics, or using the same light weights week after week simply is not enough to maintain muscle mass past 60. So walking's no good. Doesn't strengthen your muscles. Doesn't challenge your muscles. This is a sort of just a graph that I put in for a bit of interest. The stimulus is what you need to do, work. You need to work. So your muscle is nice and strong. You lift a weight. You slowly get tired, so the muscle appears to get less strong. Then you go into a recovery period, and it starts to recover, and then you go into an adaptation phase where the muscle builds up to be stronger than what it was previously. But you have to keep doing that. You cannot just build the strength in the muscle and just say, that's it, I'm going to sit back for the rest of my life. You'll go downhill. Another good reason to exercise is bone health. Ladies going through menopause are susceptible to osteoporosis. The bones lose density, become weak and brittle, and easily broken in a fall. And supplementation with calcium is not the whole answer. If you are going to supplement with calcium, go and talk to a healthcare practitioner. Right? Because if you take too much calcium without other cofactors, it could lay down in your arteries, which is no good. Not a good idea. Now, many scientific trials, this is what Ren was talking about earlier, many scientific trials have shown that resistance exercise stimulates the resistance, mineralization of bones, and in addition, other trials strongly suggest a combination of vitamin D3 and vitamin K2 also stimulates mineralization of bones and removal of calcium deposits from soft tissue. Research has proved the biggest stimulation to induce hypertrophy, that's muscle synthesis, is resistance training. The second most important is the amino acid leucine, which is found in meat and products such as eggs. Now, there may be downsides going to a gym, as membership can be expensive and you may have to travel, but you should have access to a personal trainer, but that's another expense. Lifting heavy weights can be dangerous if you lack the strength and coordination. In this case, you will need a trainer. Because with many, the ego is bigger than their muscles. Now, the following couple of slides, you need to try and understand these. I disagree with gyms. We are not bodybuilders. We don't worry about aesthetics. We need to build our core strength in our hips and in our trunk to maintain our balance. It's all about not falling. Gym membership will not help you there, not really, because they isolate in isolation. They exercise, in isolation. You need compound exercises. Right? So the biggest disadvantage I see in a gym is equipment which locks you into linear movements, up and down, up and down. Such movements do not train the core, as a machine is stabilizing the core for you. You're sitting on a bench. Weight training in a multi-gym or Smith machine locks you into a sagittal plane where the weight just moves up and down, locking you into a fixed plane of movement. There's no rotational component for core strength training. Now, if you take a free weight and you lift that, and it's a bit heavy, you'll be doing this. Your trunk is, I'm exaggerating the movements, the trunk is going, your legs are going to lift this weight. With a gym, that doesn't happen because you are supported in a machine, and that machine is only exercising one muscle. Science has proven that many traditional weight training exercises are actually damaging. Bench press, for instance, it takes your elbows down below your back with a wide grip, which puts an unfair strain on your shoulders. And also, laying on a bench, you restricted movement of your shoulder blades. Heavy deadlift, that's pretty bad for you as well if you don't train up to that level. Good mornings are the same. You should never do an overhead press behind the neck, right? Because that's compressing your shoulders, bones into bone. Heavy squat, knees beyond toes. There are exercises which are beneficial where you put your knees beyond toes, but not with a heavy weight. because the pressure on your kneecap is horrendous. And also, people who lift in heavy weights, excessive wrist flexion does not help. Now, we are taught to train our body like a machine of isolated parts, but your body works as one continuous elastic web to balance stress throughout its entirety. You can raise a heavy weight with one hand, the whole body tenses up to prevent you falling, and is not the prevention of falling our aim? Free weights such as dumbbells and kettlebells do allow for natural movement, natural rotation, and flexibility of joints. Now, I believe kettlebells are a good choice because they are ballistic in nature. During exercise, the weight alternates between acceleration and deceleration, and it's good for working your tendons. They cause less damage and risk of injury, and with regard to core exercise, they cannot be beaten. It is said kettlebells are highly effective for core training, with studies suggesting they can increase core strength by 70% in 8 weeks while improving stability and balance, which is what we are looking for as old people, or at least that's what I'm looking for. You can see a couple of exercises there, the Russian twist, and then there's a hollow hold, and the one with the kettlebells out in front called a horse stance. I do that every morning. One of the best exercises, and you'll see a demonstration of this, and one of the quickest for improving strength, mobility, coordination, endurance, cardio, and tendon conditioning is the kettlebell swing, also known as a hip hinge. Now, if you partner this with a heavy club for the rotational component, you're on a winner. Now, the benefits of kettlebell training: it's the cheapest, as you just need one item to start with. It's a one-time financial outlay if you just stay there. It may be more as you get stronger. Kettlebells give a degree of rotational movement. Heavy clubs give you more. You can take it anywhere. You can take it up the park, on the beach, do it in your lounge, whatever, in the condo. You get a full body workout for 2 pieces of equipment if you've got a heavy club as well. The equipment will outlive you. They're simple. They come in a variety of weights. Some are made of rubber, one there made of rubber. An advantage for indoor training: some kettlebells are adjustable, but they're very expensive. But I found an adjustable club was a good investment for me, because you can adjust the weight for various exercises. But they are expensive. They're solid steel, and they're about 2,500 baht. Now, if you take up kettlebell training, you start with light weights and low reps, because you've got to learn the required coordination and build on that, because you were training nerves for coordination and muscles for strength. The ballistic nature of kettlebells train the tendons far better than with any gym machine. Kettlebell training can be anti-rotational. You swing this way, and the muscles up here are trying to pull you back, resist the rotation. And as you tend to train all muscle groups at the same time, you get full body training. The body releases more human growth hormone. At the same time, time is reduced. There's no leg day, no arm day, whatever. It's less daunting in other forms of exercise because you spend less time training. If you go to a gym and you do training, you're waiting to get onto the lat machine, you're waiting to get on the bench press, it can take you anything from 90 minutes to 3 hours to exercise. With a kettlebell, you can do it in 20 to 40 minutes. You can train every day without going to a gym. What's highlighted in orange are the primary muscles which are trained, and the black is the secondary muscles which are being trained. I'm going to briefly talk quick on nutrition. I'm going to whiz through this, but I thought you should be aware of it. It's considered 50 grams of protein per day is a minimum requirement for an adult, and a global survey of 103 countries was conducted to see if this was met, and none of the countries met it. 103 countries that were tested, they didn't meet their daily requirement. So this is pretty important. You need protein to build muscle, but you also need the hormone testosterone. All hormones are made from saturated fat. which they try to tell you is bad for you. Cholesterol comes from two primary sources. 80% comes from the body, only 20% comes from diet. So without hormones from saturated fat, you will be unlikely to increase size and density. To ignore this means you could remain a chronic sarcopenic. A little bit more on saturated fat. Do you believe that nature would make mother's milk toxic to feed a baby? It's saturated fat. The energy that I've got hanging around my waist here, right, is saturated fat. Would nature be so silly as to give me a reserve of energy which is toxic? No, of course not. And from a chemical engineering perspective, saturated fat is more stable and inert than polyunsaturated fat. Here's some information which you may benefit from. Coenzyme Q10 is a vitamin-like compound found naturally in every cell that generates energy, such as your heart. It acts as an antioxidant to protect cells from damage, primarily used to support heart health, promotes new mitochondria formation. Statins inhibit the formation of coenzyme Q10. If we look at this screen here, this is called a biochemical pathway. So you start producing various compounds all the way down here until you get to cholesterol, and here's coenzyme Q10. If you take a statin, you don't stop making a lot of cholesterol, but also coenzyme Q10, which the heart needs. So are statins a good idea? I won't take them. Now, there are those who will procrastinate and make excuses in order not to exercise. They get metabolically sick, living in prison of their own excuses. They bury themselves under a mountain of excuses. I'm tired. I've no time. I can't fit it in. My hip is sore, my back is sore, my knees are sore. I'm not the athletic type. Right? I have too many things going on. Problem is, everybody wants a pill to do the exercise for them. All those excuses there, I have a friend who's told me every one of them. Excuses. This is my right knee. I have a false knee. This is my right hip. I've got a pin permanently in my hip. This is my spine. I have scoliosis, so my spine is twisted. In addition, I was born with a murmur of the heart, and as a child, I was not allowed to do any physical activities such as sport. I was consigned to bed for 6 months at the age of 5. As an adult, I developed type 2 diabetes. I was on medication, and my weight below 204 kilos. I had a torn rotator cuff, which has left scar tissue, which is quite painful from time to time. If anyone was a train wreck, I was. I am now 80. I exercise vigorously. I'm no longer on diabetic medication, and I'm about 87 kilos. But I'm still a work in progress. I'm stronger now than many 40-year-olds, slower but stronger. So what is stopping you? Possibly procrastination. You could join a group class, meet other sarcopenia sufferers and have fun. Have a coffee morning with others and discuss strategies. It gets you out and mobile. This lady is doing the downward dog or whatever they call it. It's a kind of plank where she balances on one knee and one arm, and that increases your core strength a little bit. Is it worth doing? Well, you tell me. This lady started strength training at 62 after 2 organ transplants. And she goes on to say when she was 11, she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, developed neuropathy, blindness, heart disease, and failing kidneys. Look at her now. She started at 62. Now, here's some old ladies doing various exercises. I don't agree with that much weight for an old lady, but I included it to show you what is possible with exercise. This lady here has got a kettlebell, right, which she does her swings with. I believe it to be the same lady. She's rotating this ball around this ball, and she's 86. This lady here becomes this lady there, and there. And she's 77 years old, and she won the new Scottish record of, was that 63 kilo body weight? She deadlifted 101.5 kilo. So it is possible to turn your life right around. Well, again, is it worth doing? Well, movement is not an option, it's a necessity. Exercise is the only way to slow down sarcopenia. But the good news is, it's okay to stop moving when you die. We were taught we must lift with a straight back. While this is generally true with weights, most of the things we do in life involve lifting or loading the spine while it is twisted or bent. After all, it's been designed to twist and bend. Should we not do exercises for the back then? I consider it as being non-negotiable. Now, this is known as a Jefferson curl. I'm going to demonstrate it now. And you do not want to be standing on the table, and you do not want to be using weights when you first do this. Right? Basically, you stand tall. Push your head forward and your chin on your chest. Collapse your upper body in. I'm not bending at the hip yet, but I'm bending as far as I can with the upper body. And then we bend down as far as we can go. I can touch the ground. 2 seconds there. Come back by straightening the hips, but remain with the bent back. Slowly stack your vertebrae one on top of the other, and lift your head up and stand tall. That will strengthen your spina erector. You do about 3 to 5, 3 times a week. Remember the hip flexors? Okay. These are the muscles that raise the leg. You can just sit down on the sand, on the beach, just lift your leg, your heel, a couple of centimeters, hold it there. As you progress, you can lift it further or add a weight to the leg. Now then, I'm going to ask for help now. Jar, could you please join me? I'd like to introduce my wife, Jar. No, yeah, this one. No, this one first. Put it on. Toe raises. Now then, toe raises. Toe raises like this. Turn sideways. Now, as an older person, you need to put your hand on somebody's shoulder or on the back of a chair. All right? These exercises down, heel down. Heel goes below the step. Up, up. I know it's small. Down. This will exercise the calves, strengthen the calves. Okay, thank you. Okay, one more. Here you see a number of exercises which are all very good. They are all separate exercises. What Jar does, she takes a number of exercises and joins them all together to give a sequence of moves which she enjoys doing. Kettlebell. Okay, off you go. Yeah, do you? Yeah, off you go, keep going. This is strengthening the lower back. This is squatting. You see how she comes up, she locks out her knees. This is for the shoulders. Kettlebell swing, swing. This is the kettlebell swing, which is one of the most important. This is really working the trunk. You see when she comes up, her hips come forward, snaps forward, which pushes the shoulders back, which will lift the weight. she's not using her arms to lift the weight. That's purely momentum doing that. And by changing arms, she's putting an imbalance on different side of her body each time. So she has to fight against the rotation there. This is called the goblet squat. Okay, around the world. This helps with your balance, because the weight is pulling her body from one side to the other. You do so many one way, then you change and go the other way. So that's working the trunk, your core muscles. All right. She also does it around the head. It's called a halo. Whoop. Okay, Joe, thank you very much. Thank you. Now, in addition to that, we have resistance bands. Right? If you had a long pole, over your shoulder and you hang this over, when you walk in, this will swing. It's bouncing up and down. So you just walk up and down. And it's trying to pull me off balance all the time. Another one, at home I use 10 kilos for this particular weight, strengthening my shoulders. Now, all what you've seen so far is exercising your whole body in very short time. Now, I'm going to show you an exercise now which is very advanced. If you take up kettlebell training, you only want to do the basic moves. This next move would be with a heavy club. Today I got a light club. It comes in different pieces. When it's fully constructed, it's 8 kilos. This is 3.5 kilos. So I'll demonstrate it to you now so you will see how complex these movements can be and how much the body it will work. Start here. Throw it out here. See it's working my legs, working my body. There are a number of other exercises you can do. There's the one I was explaining earlier on. You have a pole and walk with it, or a weight. This is Dr. Aaron here. He's got it anchored, and he just puts tension in it and holds it there. These exercises are good. Free weights are good. If you go to a gym, you just... Okay, I finished now. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming here today and for your patience. I hope I managed to inspire you to take better care of yourself. And thank you.
Questions and answers. People got some questions?
Great presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One thing I had in mind, and I wanted your opinion on it. GLP inhibitors, right? Ozempic and its buddies, okay, can make you lose weight dramatically.
Well, all exercise, I suppose, can help you lose
Well,
weight.
they're the actual medication or whatever they
Oh,
call it.
medication. I don't take any medication.
No, but what I'm trying to say is they do make you lose weight rapidly, you know, go down 20, 30 kilos. But the other side of it is there's peer-reviewed clinical evidence now that they cause muscle wastage and reduction in bone density. On the balance of which is better, or, you know, which would you choose, to lose weight and reduce the pressure on your joints, that kind of thing, or, you know?
Well, I'm now 87 kilos. I used to be 104, but I'm still a work in progress. Today's presentation is all about us growing older and retaining mobility rather than aesthetics.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of putting it.
Thank you for your presentation. You mentioned taking D3 and K2, I think it is. How much of that D3 do you recommend for a woman?
Well, I can't answer that. You need to look at the bottle. But one of the things I've read recently is that don't take a combination capsule of D3, K2, take them as separate, because you are not getting enough K2 with the D3. If you increase the amounts in that capsule, you'll have too much vitamin D, which can be harmful, and you will not have enough K2. So it's something like a 2-to-1 ratio. So, but you need to refer to your healthcare practitioner, really. If you do any form of exercise or drastic changes in diet, you should always consult your doctor. I'm not a doctor.
I think D3 is a vitamin from the sun.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And I came from Germany. There was no so much sun.
No.
And fun there was no. But here in Thailand, I have both. I have fun, okay, and I have the sun. I don't think it is important to take vitamin pills. You only take off your shirt and go in the sun. I think it's the same thing for your health.
Well, technically it is, yes.
Thank you.
But the thing about sunlight exposure, you go brown.
Sorry?
You go brown. Your skin changes color in the sun. Yeah? Do you know why that is? To reduce how much vitamin D you're making. Vitamin D does not come from the sun as such. It alters the cholesterol in your skin to vitamin D. So you need cholesterol. Vitamin D, you get UV from the sun. Vitamin D comes from cholesterol already in your body. The sun's rays react with cholesterol to make, because vitamin D and cholesterol, the molecules almost identical.
Thank you very much for your very practical presentation. I love the concept of the bells. Where do you suggest we buy the bells, and what size do you suggest we start with if we haven't used those before?
Well, that's a good question. Jar is 56 next birthday. She uses 4 kilos. Right, so you could probably lift a bit heavier, 5 maybe. Lazada, that's about 300 baht.
Where? On Lazada.
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 Yeah.
He says Lazada, we say Lazada, he says Lazada.
And you can get plenty of routines off the internet, plenty of exercises there, far more than what I've shown you.
Thank you, Barry. Excellent presentation, a lot of good information there. Some good exercises I saw there too. Just a question, you often see these protein milk drinks in the cafes here. What's your view on them?
I don't touch them. I don't touch them. They're sugar loaded. I don't drink fruit juices. Right? Proprietary fruit juices. Freshly squeezed fruit juice is a lot different. If you buy a bottle of orange juice, it has added sugar. I don't take added sugar. I like to use pomegranate juice a lot. But milkshakes and things like that, I have my own amino acids, coconut milk, maybe a scoop of protein powder. That's it.
I just wanted to answer his question. You can get those kettlebells at Marathon Sports right here in town.
Yeah, you can buy them at any sports shop, but they're much cheaper if you buy from Lazada.
Marathon Sports, there's a lot of exercise equipment there too.
Now, this device here, it's been broken down, but it's normally about this long, and that would weigh 8 kilos, which doesn't sound heavy, but you hold it out here, and it becomes very heavy. And you hold it like this, it becomes even heavier still. So I broke it down just for convenience of carry. This is about 2,500 baht, the cheapest. But that's more advanced. Do you really need to do that yet?
Of course, also you could go to Marathon Sports, try out the weight.
There's a lot of different protein powders on the market. Which one do you use?
I don't. Steak and eggs. Steak and eggs.
A lot of my friends take protein, like...
I don't use proprietary brands of protein powders. I do with amino acids. And I don't stick to one particular brand.
So I don't understand amino acids.
When you eat protein, the body breaks that down into amino acids. It's absorbed in your body and it remakes protein to build your muscle. I've cut out the breaking down of protein into amino acids. I'm taking amino acids so they work quicker. And I find them quite effective. If I may boast a little bit. That is a 14-inch bicep. I used to be 7. Double the size of my arm.
Ray, I can recommend a protein powder. I take one of the things about protein powder is you really don't want to take soy protein isolate, which sounds like a good idea, but it has lead in it from the way they, the harvesting the crops and stuff, which is why whey protein is a better option. Wasada.
Yeah, thank you for a very informative.
You're welcome.
I do a lot of exercise to try and exactly what you're talking about. To get muscle mass. But you pointed out one or two things that I'm doing incorrectly and I'm neglecting. So thank you for these pictures and thank you for your instruction. The other thing is that I understand muscles have got memory.
Yes.
And my friend, you brought it up with your talk. He went into hospital with COVID. He's 90, no, he was 80 then, 86, and they insisted that he stay in bed. And I said, look, get out of bed. And he wouldn't, he's listened to the doctors. 55 days later, he gets out of bed and wonders why he can't bloody walk. In a wheelchair. Took him 3 years to get his memory muscle back.
Yes.
But he's still got a stick.
What happens is the brain loses communication with a particular muscle.
Yeah.
Now, Howard over there, Ren here, and myself, we have a friend who spent 42 days in bed. Yeah. On discharge, he couldn't walk. I spent 2 or 3 hours a day, every day, for 2 months, teaching him to walk.
Yeah. Well, I look at it from people who have worn a plaster with a broken leg. Maybe 8 weeks, 9 weeks. They take the plaster off. They can't bloody walk because this and the memory don't work.
Well,
thank you.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Brian. about 12 days ago, there's a small ramp in my condo, and it's about 10 steps, and I sprint up them, come back down, sprint up them, right? And I must have overreached, and I tore, about 12 days ago, I tore a muscle in my calf, right? 1 day's rest, let it start knitting, and then stretching. Because if you don't stretch it, it'll heal in a shorten your muscle. And the other thing, what a lot of people don't know, you see very thin white skin around a chicken breast, yeah? Yeah? Well, every bundle of muscle fibers has this skin around. It's called fascia. Right? It's got more nerves than your muscles, right? And it's not as elastic as your muscles. That tends to get shortened as well when you're healing. And when that shortens, you've got a hell of a job to stretch that out again. Fascia, look it up. Doctors used to think it was not important, but it is very, holds you together. Thank you very much, thank you.
See, I told you he gives great talks. Come here, we can take a photo. We're waiting for the photo lady. Here she comes. Well done, great talk.
One, two, smiling.